I'm consistently trying to remind myself and hopefully others the power that we have as people who are able to be influencers, who have or are on camera, who are sending ourselves, our personalities, our our creativity and whatever out into the world. And when it connects, like when it really grabs onto somebody, it can really change lives. It's super duper powerful. And what we're going to be talking about today really is about how you can use your content and how you can help your community and how you can engage your community, how you can retain your community. The how do you get the ones that are new, and how do you make sure that you love them well and attached to them, and how do you keep the ones that are already attached once they're how do you keep them around and make sure that things are valuable for them. We're going to be talking about that because what we do really is powerful. What we do really has value, and it can really change lives. God uses the very simplest of things. God uses the very most obscure people. God is able to do a lot with a little, and I know that it's being a partner with Him and being able to see that happen in our communities. It's super special. So we're continuing our conversation really about community building. We're going to talk about a little bit about audience retention, which essentially comes down to how do you continue to give value to people? How do you continue to show them that you love them instead of just gathering them together and then kind of keeping the same thing going? How do you show them love? And what we're going to do, we're going to go through a matrix of basically different things that people need, that every human being needs. And we're going to do it from two sides. First one is talk about our own stuff, because we're also people and we also have these issues. And then we're going to talk about how we can kind of deal with people that have these issues within our communities so that they can feel cared for, loved, unique, special, and protected. So if you want to grow your audience, develop a strong community, make meaningful content, then when people experience your content or engage with you directly, you must meet these needs. So this is how you build that really strong community. This is how you make meaningful content, right? This is how your audience is going to grow. These are the core, and it has nothing to do with algorithms and graphics and game choices and all that jazz. It has everything to do with connecting to hearts. So everyone in your community, everyone in your audience is insecure. So you have the opportunity to give them confidence, right? I think that's just across the board. Everyone is insecure in some area. You can be the most attractive person ever, and you can drop into an area where they don't have skills and they feel insecure. You can be the smartest person in the entire room. You drop them into a place where they don't have they haven't studied that yet. They feel insecure. You got somebody who feels very talented and very able and very popular. If you put them in the wrong crowd with people they really can't communicate with, they feel insecure. Everybody has insecurities in some area of their life. And therefore, since our audience does that and we have that, we need to take it into account, right? We need to be able to say, okay, as a community builder, as a community leader, I need to make sure that I understand that there are folks within my community that don't feel safe, that don't feel that this is the kind of environment, they're not sure. Right? They don't know what's going to happen because of their past, because of their history, because of their relationship with other people, because of their own mental health issues, because of whatever reason. That level of insecurity we have to take it into account. So what are insecure people looking for? Well, they're looking for security, right? They're looking, if they feel unsafe or they feel anxious, they feel unconfident in themselves, right? What they want to feel is safe, secure, and valued. You can do that for them. So you ask yourself the question, right? For the people that are in my group and for the people that are around me, am I displaying my insecurities? And therefore, is it altering my content? For example, ask yourself, what are you insecure in? Like, is it do you feel like you don't belong there? Do you feel like maybe people can pick on how you look, or people can pick on your intelligence or your accent or your color or your, whatever it is? And if you have that sort of insecurity built into yourself, when they poke that, and somebody's going to poke it on the internet, going to poke it, what kind of reaction are you going to have? And vice versa, when it comes to the other side and you're looking into your community and they're starting to do weird stuff, they're starting to kind of jump at you, or they're starting to ask, really bizarre questions, or they're consistently coming at you with needs upon needs upon needs. People coming into chat and they get that same loop, the same problem loop, and the same conversation loop all the time because they don't feel safe and because they don't feel secure. We can help that. So a secure environment can only be provided by a secure and confident person. So for you, it behooves you. So one of the things we can do to help people that are insecure is that we can work on our own insecurities. We can understand what they are. And I've talked about this online. I have a whole, like, the next book in the series. Actually, we do a lot of talk about insecurity. I did like a 15-week series on it on my YouTube channel. It really comes down to, you feel as though in this environment, in this place, with these people, you're in danger, or you don't have a you don't have a reason for being there, or people are going to catch you in the middle of something. You feel guilt or shame or fear or whatever it is. Like, there's something, you're kind of on edge. You got that fight or flight at all times. So therefore, with you as a content creator, ask yourself the question: what triggers my fight or flight when I'm on? Is it this event happens and therefore I'm upset with that? Is it somebody says something and it kind of hits me? Is it when I don't have enough viewers, or I don't have enough things to say, or I stumble across my words, or the OBS breaks, or the audio isn't quite right, or someone doesn't like your drawing, or whatever it is, and you get a bad comment? Like, does it hit you? Knowing that is important, and how you react to it is important. So let me give you some signs of insecurity, just to see if you can identify them in yourself, and so you can understand them from your community. Number one, people who are insecure are overly concerned about what others think. So they really, really care about everyone's opinion, and they really, really don't want anybody to think bad of them or to think negative of them. For some reason, their perception of everyone is that, they're very judgmental, and they're always thinking of me, and they always see the bad stuff that I've done, or they always see, if I have a one weird thing, that my bad hair day or whatever it is, that's all they can see, and that's what they're remembering. You stumble over one sentence, you think that that's what they're going to remember forever. Like, they're really concerned about what everyone else thinks. A confident person is secure in themselves and the decisions that they make and the reasons that they did what they did, and know that other people they don't really even remember the foibles that you dropped. That's just normal. But the insecure person, that's all they can think about. Therefore, from your side as a content creator, ask yourself the question, right? Are you really worried about what people think? Are you constantly doing polls? Are you constantly asking people what you'd like, what should I draw, and what should I play, and what should I do? And are you constantly asking them for affirmation, right? Did I do that right? Did you think that was okay? Is everybody happy with that? Is everybody enjoying themselves? That consistent questioning of everybody, because the underlying assumption is that everybody is, kind of on the edge of leaving you, or on the edge of being upset with you, or on the edge of being dissatisfied with what you're giving. And so you're consistently asking them. So on the other side, people who are in your community, they're concerned about what you think consistently. So they're always asking you things like, is it okay that I'm here? Is it okay that I said that? Is it okay that I shared that? Am I allowed to share things like that? And sorry for taking your time, and I'm really sorry I asked that question. Am I distracting from chat? Have you probably had that person that's consistently worried about what you think and whether or not it's okay for them to be sharing what they share, right? Number two, they can't make decisions, and they won't express a firm opinion. Someone who's insecure really struggles. Obviously, if they're worried about what everybody else is thinking, then coming down on a decision is going to make somebody unhappy. So therefore, they tried their best to not have to make a decision. So they try to please everybody all the time. They're trying to go everywhere they possibly can. And when it comes to whether or not they are really what they believe, or something fundamental about themselves, or even their own history, their own story, or something they really do have a strong opinion on, they don't want to say it, because they're worried someone's going to get upset. They're worried someone's going to argue. They're worried that if they argue, I might not know what I'm talking about, and I might look like a dummy. Or, so they just can't make a decision, and they can't give a firm opinion, which is why, if you're in your community, and you're giving them polls and you're asking them their opinion, a lot of them won't. I don't know if you've ever had that experience where you send out that poll on Twitter or that poll in your Discord. You're like, I just want some feedback to find out how things are going and whether or not I'm doing anything, and it's just not going right. People, you get answers like, well, I can see it go either way, and I can see it, I can see value in whatever you feel, right? It's a lot of it is because they have this insecurity. They're worried about your opinion. They're worried they'll get it wrong. They're worried they're going against the rest of the community. What if they vote wrong and it doesn't go that way? It'll make them feel weird and bad and not part of the crowd. So if you find that, and chances are you will find that, it's probably time to pull back from the polling and just be confident in what you are creating and the community that you're designing and get the content that you're doing, because the insecurities in your group are coming up and you're starting to make them feel a little stressed out, like it's on them to be able to please you or on them to choose the content, and they're not willing to do that because they have their own issues. Next one, keep changing directions to try to please everyone. This is something a lot of creators struggle with, and that they start playing this game and people are like, that game sucks, so they change games, and oh, you're dumb, you suck at that. Oh, okay, I'll change to something else. They do that with their content, they do that with their conversations, they do that with their time. Oh, you don't like it when I stream at night? I'll try to stream earlier in the day then. Oh, you didn't like it when I streamed earlier in the day? Okay, I'll try to have a longer stream so I can please everybody, right? It's such a trap, and it's so draining. And so you end up just hating it all because you're not steering the ship, and you're living by everybody else, and obviously you can't please everyone, so therefore no matter how hard you try, somebody's upset, right? And so you keep changing these directions. I'm sure it happens with musicians, like it's like, well, we don't like that last song you did. Oh, well, I better not try another experiment then. I'm sure it happens with artists, right? Oh, you tried that new style, or you put that thing out there, and I didn't like how you did that. Go back to the old ways that you did it. Or, you've been doing this for a long time. Why don't you try something new? And all of a sudden you feel this pressure to alter yourself. Like, you had this idea, you create the content for a purpose, you have a vision, you have an audience, you have a place you're bringing them, and someone's upset, or someone doesn't like it, or someone just made a comment, just kind of offhanded, just whatever, and it hits you and you're like, oh, someone's displeased, I think I better change something. That's true in your community as well. And that is, they are insecure, so they're going to try to please everyone in the group. So they're not going to come down with their opinion, but at the same time, they will refuse to engage in cloisters, or whatever you call cliques or whatever, right? So when you're like, okay, we're going to have team this and we're going to have team that, or we're going to have some, like, it's okay for you to have this role and you'll have a different role. They don't want to feel pulled to one side or pulled to another side. And so how do you manage that? How do you manage somebody, and how do you communicate with somebody who comes into your chat or comes into your comment section or leaves you feedback that basically says, you know what, I wish I could just make everybody in my life happy. I wish everybody in my life would just leave me alone, and because everybody's criticizing me and everybody's up my nose about something, and I thought I was doing good, and I thought I was changing, and I thought I was helping people, but then now my mom's upset, but my dad's not, and now my teachers are upset, but I thought it was okay. How do you communicate with those people, and how do you create an environment where they feel a sense of security? Right? You can say to them, you know what? You don't have to please me. You don't have to impress me. I'm just glad you're here. Right? You are valid no matter what you're doing and whatever you're experiencing right now. Like, I can't, I'm just pleased you are existing in the same presence as me, and we're experiencing this together. I don't need you to do anything, and I don't need you to jump through any hoops for me. Right? You can, if you recognize that insecurity, you can maybe give them that sense of confidence that you're not going to run away, and you're not going to be upset with them, and you're not going to be the person that basically is trying to pull them in two directions. Yes, of course, there are going to be people who are difficult, and there are going to be people who are opinionated and whatnot. I think it behooves you to have the wisdom to be able to say, okay, is this person being a troll? Is this person being a jerk? Is this person, legitimately having a problem? Or is what I'm seeing here this lack of confidence and this lack of ability, and what they really need is for me to assure them I'm not going anywhere, assure them that I'm okay with what they just said, what they're doing. I have one person in chat, he comes by all the time, and he just apologizes nonstop. I'm sorry, I'm sorry, I'm sorry, I'm sorry, I'm sorry, I'm sorry. Like that's everything. Like he'll comment, "Hi, good morning. Sorry about interrupting." That what a fun game. Sorry for saying that your game is, whatever. I just apologize for, like just legit. He's so insecure that everything is a constant apology. And so I have to take time to say, like, dude, you don't need to apologize. I'm just thankful you're in chat. You've never said anything mean. I promise if you ever say anything that I'm upset with, I'll tell you. You don't need to say I'm sorry because I'm okay with you being here. Right? Uh People who are insecure put people down to look more important. I think content creators can fall into that, and because it's easier to like just kind of poop on all the non-Christians or the people who aren't making content that you like, or all the sellouts from the people that are making useless content, people who are kind of you doing everything that's popular, whatever. Like you can spend your time really putting other people, other creators down so that you can feel like you're doing a good job. They're fake. You're the real Christian. They're not. You're the real content creator. They're just a pretender. Like you can really fall into that trap. And then on the other side, you're going to find people in your chat, in your community. You're going to find people in your comment section that for them, that's really how they interact with the world. They feel like small people. They don't get power at work. They don't have a position in their church or in their community. They don't have anybody that's really coming to them for advice. And so online, what they do is they try to bolster their importance. And one of the ways they do that is by slamming other people. These people are dumb and that's dumb and they're bad and they're evil and they're stupid and I'm so much smarter. And that's kind of how they engage on the internet because they're trying to feed themselves that sense of pride, that sense of self-security. But you recognizing the reason for that, like it's not just, hey, you're being kind of a jerk. How come you keep talking bad about all these people? It's, you know what, dude? It sounds like what you're doing is you're trying to build yourself up on the backs of others. And that isn't how we do things here, right? You can confront that. You can talk about that. This is an environment where we lift each other up, we encourage each other, but never by making others feel worse, right? That's not what we do. Another one, constantly talk about how busy they are, even when they're not. This is easy for a lot of content creators where they're, like, so how you doing? Oh, I'm so tired. I'm doing so many things. I got so much going on. And, like the night before, maybe you were just, watching anime or you were doing whatever you want. You hung out with your friends, you had a good night, but you feel this sense of guilt, this sense of shame, this sense of fear that if you don't say that you were busy and that you were active and that you were fruitful and that you were productive, that somehow you lack value. Right? As a content creator, especially one who's a Christian content creator, we're constantly being told, it's a waste of time. What you're doing is a waste of time. What you're doing is distracting you from real spirituality and real missions. And what you're doing, like maybe you have people who actually are opposing what you feel like is your calling. And so therefore, when they come up to you and they say, so how's it going? You feel this instinct to exaggerate, oh, God is really, really moving so much and I'm super busy. I've got so many things happening and I've got so much opposition happening in my life. It's just crazy. And I've had all these, like you feel like you need to over exaggerate because you're insecure about saying, actually it's, yesterday I didn't do anything, or it's not going as well as I kind of hoped, or yeah, I don't have nearly the resources that I thought I would have by now. Like that is terrifying to you because you're afraid that person's gonna exactly, and that's why I said, right? So you exaggerate. There are lots of people like that in your communities as well that are overstating how great they are, overstating how much they win, overstating how far they've gone in their game, overstating their community that they're building. I'm the executive director of such and such, and like, oh, cool. How long that been around? Oh, yesterday. I came up with it yesterday. Oh, neat. Who do you executively direct? Oh, nobody. I just came up with a logo and decided I'm part of an organization now. Like they really feel like they need to feel important, and so they come to you and they lie. Right. So how can you create an environment? How can you create a chat and a comment section and a Discord and a place where you're able to give them a sense of confidence so they don't need to self-inflate? Right. Can they be themselves? Figure out a way that you can kind of do that. Okay, let's keep going. Everyone in your community wants to feel special, so honor and celebrate them. Now, how do you do that? There are a lot of people out there in your communities that don't feel as though they have much value. They don't feel as though much is going right in their life. They don't feel like other people want them around, value having them around. And so therefore, and they feel forgotten. They feel lonely. They're like they don't get phone calls and they don't get emails. They don't get the how you doings and all the rest of that stuff. And they're quite lonely at home. And therefore, we have an opportunity as streamers, content creators, as people who are building digital communities, who are trying to create that a content that pulls them towards you, pulls them towards that healthy community that says, I like that you're here. I miss you when you're gone. I'm thankful for your presence, so much so that I'm going to remember something about you. I'm going to connect to you in a meaningful way that is only for you, right? I don't know if you've ever seen that video online. There's a few of them where you've got a teacher and they have a special handshake with every single kid in their entire class, right? The reason for that is because it makes each of them feel honored and celebrated and special. It's just one way to fuel their connection and help them with their insecurities and make them feel like they belong there. So what's a good trick to do this? It's called the 101% principle. Essentially, you find that 1% thing that you have in common with that person. And it doesn't matter what it is. You like the same baseball team, you wear the same hat, you like the same game, you play the same instrument, you cheer for the same sports team, you were wearing the same color socks. It doesn't matter what it is. You grab that one piece of commonality, you remember it, and you talk about that next time you see them, right? Hey, what socks you wearing today? Are we matching again? We didn't get the right ones. We're not matching. What are you going to wear? What can you wear tomorrow? So we could match again, right? That tiny little bit of commonality makes people feel so special, right? So therefore, in your content, like for example, if you're in the comment section, if you're in the Discord, if you are chatting with them live, reach into your brain and make a point of remembering the one thing, right? This is the guy that only plays FPSs. This is the guy who only talks about cars. This is the guy who has like 49 kids. This is the lady who does crafting. This is the lady who is a business person. This person is always talking about whatever, right? You have that one thing. If you build on it, you'll be able to generate more about them, that's where you start. But if you don't have that one thing, and you're consistently treating everybody just generically, right? Hey, how you doing? Oh, that's nice. Yeah. It becomes disingenuous, and they feel like you're treating them as though you were like a bank teller or a grocery clerk. You're not a community leader. You're not a community developer. A community developer specifically wants to make those people understand that they are valued as an individual. You do that with remembering something about them. Okay. Here's a little pointer. We're going to talk about how do you celebrate someone? How do you honor someone? Well, when you connect to when somebody does something that you want to praise them for, what you want to do, here's 4 things that you can do. And we mess up a lot of these when it comes to our compliments and when it comes to wanting to raise people up or honor them or give them some kind of kudos. Number 1, be sincere and genuine in what you're saying. No pretending. Don't reach for things that aren't really true, right? You find something that is actually something that you are appreciating about them. It doesn't have to be much, right? I'm so thankful you come in. That joke yesterday was amazing, right? Or your little kid walks up to you and hands you that the picture, right? Instead of looking at it going, oh, that's really cool, and handing it back, you find something in there that you really like, and you mention that, right? Then you genuinely believe that is something that is unique or special or interesting. You've got people that are in your comment section. You're very specific. I'm so thankful when this person said this and did that, or, thank you for their support, or whatever it is. Be specific or be genuine. The next one is be specific about what you're celebrating. And that means that instead of saying, thank you for everything you're doing, Thank you for all of your presence here. Thank you for just, being part of my listening crew. Thank you for being, listening to the podcast. Instead, grab something about that individual, that project or the thing, and be very specific. Again, I'll go back to that little kid that brought you a picture, right? So a lot of, aunts and uncles or whatever, moms and dads will look at the picture and say, "Oh, that's really cute. That's so good. Well done." If you want to affect that kid and you really want to encourage them, pick one thing out of the picture and go, "I love that you use this color. That's like my favorite color. And it's so cool that you did that." Or, you know what? You did a really good job on that tree. Or you went outside the lines there, but I think you did that on purpose because it makes it look a lot bigger, right? That's really, really cool. Good job. Find something specific. And for example, if you're going to like, "Thank you to my mods. They're so awesome." You know what? Specifically because they protect me really well, or they have really helped me out in my content, or they are great sheriffs, or remember that time I was going sideways and they helped me out. Find the specific thing. Really, really key when it comes to complimenting and honoring people. Third, do it in public. Obviously, getting a DM of thank you is nice. You feel good about that. But if you can praise people publicly, whether it be on stream or shouting them out in your podcast or putting a little, maybe a little note in the drawing or using them as a character, or doing something that is just kind of let other people see that you're honoring them, it means so much more, especially if they don't expect it, right? Especially if it comes out of nowhere, and or they do something and you just come out, you're just like, "This person is awesome and I'm so thankful for them. They did this specific thing and I'm so just pleased they did it. They did such a good job." It has amazing value because it gives them such a boost. Like I said, there are a lot of people out there that don't feel special. They don't feel honored. They don't feel like they have value. They don't get this stuff. Nobody is championing them. Nobody's telling them they're doing a great job. Nobody values their opinion and their conversation. Nobody says, "Wow, that's really cool that you're around." They just don't get that, or they get it very, very rarely. So if you can be the person that finds something in their life, finds that thing, and you lean into it and like, "I like this about you." You're constantly something on the something, whatever it is, talking about dragons. You're so good at talking about dragons. Holy mackerel. All of your comments about dragons, you must be an expert. That's pretty cool, right? And then being able to find something and compliment them in public. "Thank you so much to so-and-so. That comment today really made my day." Or you hit that little heart on the YouTube comments and it goes to the top and you comment, this comment really made my day, right? That is the kind of stuff that celebrates people and makes those people that are connected to your content feel special. We want them to. And finally, be personal by speaking directly to them. It's nice to, have an announcement, so-and-so, whatever. But if you say, "You," I don't know, pick a name, right? Like, "You, Lizzie." I'm talking to everybody. Now, here, everybody's here. And so I just want to really honor Lizzie because Lizzie did this thing. Lizzie, I want you to know that I really thank you for that thing. Everybody's hearing it. But if I focus on Lizzie, she hears it. She knows everybody is hearing it. And it's not just a general thing. It is specific to her, right? Use the name. Those are critically important stuff. Like I said, and I'll say it again, there are a lot of people out there that really don't have this in their life very often. We can give it to them. Teeny tiny things. It doesn't have to be big projects. They don't have to do a ton of stuff. It can be little stuff. But you make big of it so that they feel special. We have a lot of people out there that have learning disabilities, right? And they don't feel like they're particularly good at school or intelligent or very well spoken or, whatever. But as soon as you can compliment them and say, "This thing, I really like this thing," they don't get that at school. They don't have other people telling them that very often. You can, because you reached out and found it, that 1%. So the question, I'm not going to make you answer it, but consider the question: who was the last person to publicly celebrate you? Like someone who really told other people that they thought you were great, to others, even privately, or you heard about it, that someone complimented you or your stream or whatever. And the next one is, who was the last person you publicly celebrated within your community, within the people that you have, heck, within your family or whatever? Do you have a habit of publicly celebrating? I think, and I'll speak for streamers, I think one of the best things you can do is when a raid comes in, pull the brake stop the content, be thankful, honor that person, just not only just shout them out, but legitimately be thankful for them, for their community, for and find that 1% thing that you know about them. Oh yeah, I was on your stream the other day. You were doing, Disney Dreamlight Valley, and I remember, what was it? Oh yeah, you were digging out, you were digging and digging and digging and trying to find all these things. Your tenacity is amazing. I wouldn't be able to do that, right? That kind of thing, it means the world to them. And I believe, and this is my opinion, not everybody agrees with this, but I believe that if someone raids you, it's the highest form of compliment you can get on Twitch. I really do believe that. And so therefore, I don't know what it is for musicians, and I don't know what it is for podcasters, except for maybe getting shouted out in there or something. But whatever it is, make it part of your habit to publicly celebrate people. All right. Any comments on that? Okay, everyone in your community is looking for a better tomorrow, so give them hope. Many people that we talk to and that we have are really feeling hopeless. We've probably, each of us have dealt with people who are suicidal, either in our chat or in our comment section or personally, or there have been people who send really scary comments into the feedback loop or whatever it is. And we can just see a lot of hopelessness out there. I think one of the reasons that Christian content creators start doing what they do is because they have hope, right? They've been given hope by Jesus. They moved from a place of hopelessness to more hope, and they want to use their content to connect to people to do that. It does get better, or it is not that bad, or it's like I was where you were at, and it sucks, but I can tell you that we'll be okay. You give them hope, and that's I think one of the onuses. I think one of the reasons people start. We have the gift to be able to make these communications and these pieces of content that can literally inject them with a new positivity or a new understanding of whatever they're going through, give them a bigger picture kind of thing. So here's some ways that you can kind of give them hope in very practical ways that don't have to be very super specific. They're not all super emotional or whatever. But when you're doing these things, it gives that person who's part of your community sort of that future that something positive is happening. So number one, share what excites you about the future of your content in your community. So I don't know if it happens to you. It doesn't happen to me, but I know that some people, they get really locked into whatever their current content is or whatever they're doing, and they're locked into their loop, and they don't really talk about what they're going to be doing next week, next month. They don't have any future plans. They don't have any, I'm excited that this is going this way, or I have this idea in my head, or we as a community, one day I can't wait until, they don't share that kind of stuff because they don't really think that way. It's just for them, it's whatever's in front of them. The next song, the next podcast, the next stream, the next YouTube video, the next, whatever it is. And when it comes to sharing, I'm excited about this thing coming. I can't wait to share and experience this new part of content or this new idea, this new instrumentality, this new book, that whatever it is. I can't wait to share that with you. They just, I think you're missing out on giving an opportunity for everybody in your community to have something to look forward to. Some of them don't. You got to remember, in our context, there are a lot of people online don't have a lot to look forward to. They're maintaining day-to-day, moment-to-moment, hour-to-hour, and trying to distract themselves as much as they possibly can from having to think about themselves, think about their feelings, think about what's going on, think about tomorrow. That's why they're addicts, and that's why they're constantly on entertainment. That's why they have noise consistently in their head. That's why you're there, and they're like, please keep talking because I don't want to hear my thoughts. We have a chance, if we can just we as a community, you're part of this. Let's get there together. Woohoo! It sounds small, but it's really meaningful for them because now they're part of something bigger than themselves, right? Next, tell people what they can look forward to with your content and as part of your community, right? So in other words, it's a bit of homework. Have a plan, right? Be like, what are you going to be doing over the next little while here? Day, week, maybe month, depending on how crazy you want to get. Maybe you know what you're going to be doing for the whole next year. Maybe like what is the release schedule for DLC? What is what's your release schedule for your album? What is the when is the end of your season going to happen? When are you going to be releasing that new book? When is the blog going to make its big transition? Whatever it is, tell people specifically, I'm going to be doing these things. Because then they'll have one more thing to look forward to, one more thing that they're anticipating in their life. It sounds a little dark, but when you're doing suicide counseling and you're talking to people who are on the edge, whether you're on a hotline or whatever, one of the things that they do is they make a plan to call tomorrow. They'll say, okay, listen, you know what? Can I call you tomorrow? Like, I'm so glad you called today. I'm really happy. Can I call you tomorrow? I'm going to call you tomorrow around lunch. Okay, that's what I'm going to do. So I'm going to hang up. But I want you to know that you can do this, but I'm going to call you tomorrow. And that little bit of thing that's happening in the future is enough to keep most of them safe overnight, because they don't want to disappoint the person that just helped them. So they're okay, fine. I'll live another day and I'll get through that phone call for them. Right? It sounds morbid and it sounds like, why are we talking about this? Because a lot of the people that we deal with in our online content are having a really hard time. So that even that tiniest little bit, I can't wait until comes out, because let's experience that together. It means one more thing for them to literally stay alive, for one more thing for them to look forward to, one more reason to come home from work, one more reason to have a vegetable and stay awake and be able to be with you. Like it really does matter. That's one of the powers that we have as community builders, as content creators, is that we're able to give to people through our content, through our personality, through how we react to it and all that stuff. We give them things that they can look forward to. Your next stream, your next album, your next podcast, your next book, your next blog, whatever it is, they're anticipating it. If they've engaged with your content, they're ready for it. That's hope. That's a little bit of hope that you've given them, which is why it makes me so frustrated, and I believe it should make everybody frustrated, when you have content creators that do not have a release schedule, or they skip their streams, or they only stream when they feel like it. Imagine you have an experience with somebody and it really connects with them, and they really want to connect with you again because you injected joy into their life, and they can't find you again. That's really, really just one more person in their life that came and then left, that they thought they were going to be friends with and isn't there anymore. They thought they were going to have a connection to, isn't there anymore. Doesn't know why. It reinforces that I'm alone, I'm behind. I feel hopeless. Consistency, that is so important. It really is. It helps people have hope. And then finally, open your heart about the struggles you're having and why you can face them without falling apart. Obviously, you don't need to dump the truck every day, like emotionally speaking. But if you share your struggles, don't stop there. It's really easy to become that mutual misery society where everybody sits around feeling bad because we're all equally feeling bad. If you are having a rough day, that's okay. Share it, be authentic, be vulnerable, be yourself and whatnot. But talk about why you can keep going, right? Talk about why you're going to be able to stream tomorrow, or you're going to be able to continue going to church tomorrow, or why you'll be able to go to work tomorrow, or why you'll be able to, why your world isn't falling apart. You maybe were in that place where your world did fall apart when that kind of stuff happened, but you're not there anymore. Or maybe you do feel like it's going crazy, but here's what I'm holding on to. Share that with them. A lot of them don't really think that way, right? They're just like literally looking through the toilet paper tube at life, and they don't see much. And so therefore, for us to be able to say, well, this is why, I think of my mom. I want to take care of my pet. I'm excited for Christmas coming. I have, I got this cheesecake in the fridge that I am absolutely anticipating having. It's going to make me feel better when I go eat it. Like, that's why I'm not falling apart on the stream. That's why I was able to rally up today. That's why I was able to be here, because these little things, and obviously Jesus, obviously, right? This is, I don't want to not say it, but also at the same time, obviously we can talk about our faith. We talk about the sustenance of the Holy Spirit, the joy that he gives us, just being able to know that the stuff we're going through, he won't waste. He knows every tear. He understands every single thought, and he'll never leave us, never forsake us. Like that's all good stuff. But I strongly believe in attaching practical and personal stuff to our faith, because this stuff can just start to sound like platitudes and repetitive. But if you're able to add, but for me, this is what that means. It means so much more. Okay. Let's keep going. Everyone in your community needs to be understood, so listen to them. Okay. There are a lot of people in your community, a lot of people that come into your, wherever you get your feedback loop, and they aren't listened to. Nobody listens. They talk on Twitter, they get argument back, nobody listens. They go to school and they consume whatever's there. They don't really talk. They go to work and maybe they're the only employee. Maybe there's one or two employees or whatever. They do their work. They don't really get heard. If they have social anxiety, they're not out there in meeting people. They don't have their board game club in the church, in the youth group or whatever like that. They don't feel listened to. They've got a lot going on and they want to share. There's some people who they have autism or they have some kind of other disability. And for them, it's a struggle for them to share live when people are in front of them. They've got lots they want to say, but they feel embarrassed, right? Because they maybe it feels childish or maybe it feels like it's not that valuable or whatever, but they're excited about it, but they don't want to, they're insecure about that. You can be someone who listens. So and really you can do this with your mods or with the people that are really kind of up in your organization, or the people that are really connected to your stream consistently. You can ask yourself these questions about them, and you can ask this about like the whole community sort of in general, but they're really good questions to ask. Am I listening? So what do they talk about? Right? What are they consistently bringing up? What are we listening? And this is where you kind of find that 1% of the 100% is by listening and going, yeah, this person is always talking about their dolls. This person is always talking about their puzzles. This person is always talking about their learning disability, their mental health issue. They're talking about their stream. They're always talking about anime. They're always talking about their, the game Halo, whatever it is. That's the only thing they comment on. Are you listening? If you are listening, then you should be able to parrot that back, repeat it back to them. Hey, you're the person who talks about this. What do they cry about? Your community, the people that your mods, what really affects their heart, right? Do you know them well enough to be able to ask the question, or to answer the question? I know what would upset them, and I know what tugs on their heart, and I know what really breaks their heart. What do they dream about? What are their future aspirations? What are the things that they're like, man, if this were to happen, that would be so cool. Or if things were to change perfectly and I would be somehow magically different, then this is what I'd want to be. Like, do you know the answer to that question? What do they laugh about? I think there's a lot of communities that forget that one. They spend a lot of time talking about serious stuff, and they spend a lot of time talking about intense, things, but they forget that part of the reason that we can be human together, and the really important thing we can do, one important thing we can do together, is laugh together. So do you know what makes that person, what makes that, that community member, what makes your general community? Do you know what makes them laugh? What they find funny? And then finally, what do they plan about? As in, what do they invest their energies in beyond work? What do they invest their energies into their hobby? What do they actually do that they're not getting paid for, but they're pouring some energy into? What do they plan about? What are they're like in the future? This is going to happen. Those are all. It's hard to know everybody perfectly. I totally grant that. But these are great questions for you to ask yourself. How well do I know my significant other? How well do I know my mom and dad? How well do I know my friends? How well do I know my whatever extended family, or the people that I can say I really care about that are in my digital community? How well do I know? Right? So you can ask yourself, do I know what they're talking about? Do I care what they're talking about? Do I know what upsets them? Do I know what they're, ask the question. And the other side of it is this. And this is a question that I've asked every class, dozens of people. And I asked the question, do you have anyone in your life that actually knows all 5 answers, that would be able to answer all 5 and be accurate in it. And I'll be honest, I've only ever had one person say yes. Most people don't have this, right? That's what I want you to draw on when it comes to your motivation behind why you'd want to invest your time, energy, and effort in getting to know your community in this way. It's because you want to be known in this way. Let's keep going. Everyone in your community lacks direction. Navigate for them. A lot of people in your community, a lot of people that you're hanging out with, they don't know what to do with their life. They don't know what job to have, and they don't know what school to go to, and they don't know how to get a girlfriend or a boyfriend, and they don't know what church they're supposed to go to, and they don't know how they're supposed to worship God, and they don't know what their gifts are, and they just don't know. Right? That's just where they live all the time. That's where they exist. You have the opportunity, because you are now their parasocial friend, or whatever you want to call yourself. You're the community leader. You've invested your life in them, and they in yours. You can help them navigate. Now, I'm not saying you control their life, right? The bottom line here is, this might sound arrogant, but consider how often you'd long for this in your own life, right? I'm not saying you should control all your little minions like puppets and all of a sudden become Gru and everybody's your minion and you can just take over the world. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is that you have the opportunity to give to some people a little bit more than they have when it comes to direction, because you're further down the road. The reason they're connecting to you, and we know this across the board, is because they resonate with you. There's something in them and in you that is similar, right? A desire or an opinion or some form of entertainment or something like that you guys have in common. And therefore, that is the reason that they stick around. They could go to anybody's content. They could listen to anybody's music. They can go to any podcast. They can read anybody's blog. There's a bazillion out there. The reason they're in your community is because they connect to you. Therefore, you have a voice in their life. So if you we talked about a ton of stuff, but if you're able to do all that other stuff and they believe that you care about them, then when they come to you for help, or when they have a question, or they're just confused out of their mind, or why is the world the way it is, you have the ability to give them one more little push. Now, you can't get them all the way from 1 to 100, obviously, but you can get them from 1 to 2, right? You could, I don't know what to do with myself. I don't know what job to get. Well, what have you been looking for? What are you good at? Let's talk about that a little bit. Why don't you jump into the Discord and just kind of say, hey, has anybody ever struggled with getting a job? Because there are a lot of people that are like that with you. That's not solving their problem, but it's giving them one more step. Oh, I can be vulnerable enough to open myself to that question within your Discord. That's allowed. Oh yeah, it's totally allowed. You can totally ask that. Why don't you ask, go to the prayer section and just kind of say, hey guys, I don't know what I'm doing and I need some divine intervention, right? You don't have to give them the answer, but you can help them navigate the next step. Most people can steer their own ship moment to moment, but not many can chart a course for their future. As we've talked about, you're kind of living in this whatever's happening next, that's all I can deal with. And I don't know, I can't deal with what happened in the past, and I don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. Many of them they're living, paycheck to paycheck. They're living, hour to hour. They don't know what they're going to have for supper, let alone what they're going to be doing in 5 years. And so therefore, being able to go to a community and being part of a group of people where they can go, dude, I don't know what to eat for supper. And other people will be like, hey man, what's in your fridge? Let me help you out. You tell me 3 things you've got in your fridge. I bet we can mix them together into something, right? That, it doesn't sound like much, but people are longing for that direction. And we can build a community that gives it to them by giving people permission to share, obviously, be vulnerable, but also giving people permission to provide answers. Now, I have a rule on my prayer section of my Discord where I say nobody's allowed to provide answers in this section. All you do is you leave the little prayer icon, and then you say, that sucks, or good job, or I'm praying for you. That's it. Because we're not here to provide answers. Not in this section. This is just requests. However, I got 15 other, channels that you can go ask all these things in, that you have an interest in. So therefore, yeah, do that for them. For your content, for your channel, for your community, you must. This is part of the direction for your community. Again, you as a community leader. You need to, one, have a vision and purpose for what you're doing. I'm not going to beat that drum again. I've been beating it for 7 weeks. You have to have a reason for why you're doing what you're doing. What's your podcast for? Why are you blogging? Why did you turn on the camera? Why are you in that microphone? Have a vision, have a purpose. 2, know how each piece of content or community interaction furthers that vision, right? Purposeful content, not just throwing stuff out there. And where's that bringing them, right? I'm playing this game because I'm releasing this song, because we're talking about this topic, because I'm releasing this opinion, because we're raising money for this, because, and the answer is because it takes my community and the people that are within it and moves them one step closer to spiritual, physical, emotional health, right? It doesn't have to be big. It's like the reason we're looking at these weird things and being silly is because I need to inject some joy into their life, because they are very in need of a distraction. They are very in need of some kind of something funny because they're bummed. And therefore I'm doing that, which will help me to build that relationship, which will help them to show positivity, which will give me an investment in their life, so that in a few more steps, we can start talking about bigger things. But it's got to start here, right? Have a purpose, have a reason. Why are you doing that? And if you don't know why you're doing it, don't do it. You have no idea why you're doing that. You just feel pressured to do it. You feel like everybody's doing it. You feel like, but just don't. Figure out what's the best thing for your audience, your community, and where you're bringing them. Again, I'll stop banging that drum. I've been doing it for a while. That's the core of this whole entire class. Next, be an example by keeping yourself engaged in personal and community goals. I think one of the mistakes that some community leaders make is they come up with great ideas for everybody except them. They they like, why don't you guys all do this, and why don't we all do that? We're going to raise money for this, or we're going to all lose weight, or we're all going to go to watch this guy's video, or whatever it is. And they don't. We all need to do better in our Bible reading, but then they don't engage in that process at all. They just think it's a good idea for everybody else. If you want to help people navigate, and you want to help give them direction, you want them to have a reason for doing things, be engaged in what you have said is a good idea, or the thing that you're actually doing. Be part of it. Donate to the thing that you've just asked for money for. Doesn't have to be much, but you have to be one of them as well, right? Invest in whatever you're asking them to invest in. And the last one, give people a path to join you on your journey, starting where they're at. So ask the question, and this is the stepping stones conversation again from before, wherever they come in or wherever they are on my path from don't know you at all to you are a perfect and wonderful person who is exactly who I want you to be, and Jesus wants you to be, and it's all wonderful. What position are they in, and what's the next step, right? So if they've never heard of you before and they find your stream, what's the next step? Probably hitting the follow. If they've never heard your music before, they just found your song, what's the next step, right? Finding your album. They've never heard your podcast before, and they just discover your podcast, what's the next step? Hit the subscribe button, right? You tell them that this is what I want you to do. Hit the follow button. Why? Because then you can come find me again when I'm back on, because I think it's great if you follow me. Well, now they're following. What do they do? What's the next step of engagement? What's the next place you can navigate them towards? Well, I want them to be engaged with the community. So show up. Next one, I want them engaged offline community. So be part of the Discord. I want them engaged more personally, being vulnerable. I'm going to help them understand how to be vulnerable in that community. What's next after that? Well, I want them to become leaders in that community. I want them to be able to, become a moderator, become invested, start pouring into other people's lives, because then they'll feel valued. What's after that, right? Really think through that pattern, so that if someone walks into your content, because your content has value and purpose, Jesus told you to do it, and you've decided to be obedient, right? Therefore, you're a steward of this person's time. Steward it well. help them along, right? It's a responsibility and a gift, man. What a gift. Imagine if in your roughest time, your most difficult, weirdest time of your life, you had you had somebody that went, "Hey, here's the next step. This is the next thing you need to do." You'd went, "Thank you. That's all I wanted for now. That's all I can handle. Let's go." Right? Because you spun your wheels and you didn't know what to do. Let's do that for others. We can. That's a gift that we have through content creation. We're going to do, how much time we got? Okay. Everyone in your community are needy. They need because they're needy. So what this basically comes down to is they do not care how much you know before they know how much you care. Okay. So you have to be the person who understands you have to be of value to them before you're able to do any of this other stuff. They'll get to know you, before they will allow you to answer their questions, before they're going to be vulnerable with you. They have to have a reason to be there. They are lonely. They need community. They are lack direction. You have answers. They are poor. You have resources. They need training. Whatever it is, you're providing something for them. That's why I talk about your content as purpose. So when you meet people for the first time, they don't care about your faith and your goals and your channel and all the rest of that stuff. What they want is to know if you can meet their need. So ask the question, am I meeting the need of the community, the audience that I'm trying to build? You can't meet everybody's need. That's impossible. You can't meet everybody's needs. But the people you feel called to, the people that are like you, the people that are where you were, the people that you feel that you want to draw into wherever you're into your community, the one that you resonate with, you want to help, that you feel passionate towards, your vision. What do they need? Right? There's a streamer, I'll shout her out. She's awesome. Miss Positivity. I was talking to her at one point, and she was saying how one of the things that happens in her chat is that these dudes will come in and they will be weird and they don't know what to do with themselves. And she is basically, she's the girl they want. She's pretty. She's a gamer. She's young. That's who I want. And they'll be like, how do I get, a girl like you? And she's able to say, well, let's talk about that. Do you have a job? Do you shower? Do you go to church? Do you have friends? Are you investing in anything? Do you have a savings account? Are you working out? That kind of stuff, right? So their need, and this is where it comes down to, and what we were talking about, is like they need a male mentor. They need someone to show them the way, because I got all these dudes that are coming in and I'm dumping advice and trying my best, but they are in desperate need of a guy to take them to the next step, because I can't do that. Right. So she sees this need in the community. And we were talking about, how do you meet that need? What's the way you can do that? Because obviously she can't. So what can you do? What do your people need? The people that are coming into you. When it comes to needs, people are going to start talking to you about this stuff. And there are a couple things I don't want you to do. First, I want you to recognize that no matter what the problem is, people think it's unique. They're the only one facing it. They're the only one facing that version of it. They're the only one facing it in that area. Whatever they're going through is unique to them. Okay. And therefore you can't fully understand it. If you say, oh, I totally exactly know what you're going through, you don't. And they don't believe you. All you've done is invalidate the fact that they feel confused, and they have the right to be confused, because what they're going through is real and unique to them. They believe that. Now, it's very true that many people have gone through whatever they've gone through. Doesn't matter. Nothing new under the sun. We know that. However, instead of minimizing it by saying, everybody's got that, you're not special, demonstrate your understanding and sympathy there and go, hey, that sounds really serious, or that's a big deal to you. And it doesn't matter how big it is. It could be, I didn't study for my test tomorrow and I'm kind of freaking out, or my dad has cancer and I'm freaking out, or I have cancer and I'm freaking out. If you just simply go, hey, you know what? No big deal. It's fine. I went through it. You'll get through it too. Recognize that you need to demonstrate, you know what? Let me hear more about that. Why is that bothering you so much? What kind of relationship do you have with your dad? What's the reason that it's such a big deal to you? Why, why is it that you didn't study, and what's going on there, and what are you in? Why is tomorrow's test so important to you? Ask questions, demonstrate understanding, use that reflective listening we talked about a while back, where instead of, talking about your stuff, you just repeat back to them what they said in a different way to continue the conversation. Second thing, everybody thinks their problems are the biggest, right? Doesn't matter if it is. That test tomorrow for that kid is the most important thing in the world right now. Nothing else matters. That's what they're freaking out about. The worst thing you could do is minimize it or compare to it, right? To go, tests are no big deal. It's not that big of a problem. You'll be graduated in no time. It's just a little bit of your percentage, no big deal, right? If you minimize what they're going through, what you're saying is your feelings are invalid and you should be embarrassed for having them. Why did you share? Right? Instead, don't minimize it, acknowledge it. Yeah, man, taking a test, that's hard. I have definitely shown up to tests where I didn't feel prepared, and I was freaking out too. Yeah, I absolutely get it. It's probably a big deal for you. Don't minimize it. And the second thing is don't compare. A lot of people, when they hear a problem, their first instinct is to one-up it, Like, man, I was driving down the road yesterday and I popped a tire, and what a pain. And the dude or whatever is going to go like, dude, I was driving the other day. I popped 4 tires, way more tires than you. I'm so much more a better tire popper and more suffering than you have. Like, legit, there's nobody, they'll try to one up. And I think part of the reason is because they're trying to like, hey, it's not that bad and we got through it and whatnot. But the truth is, what it does is it invalidates what they're doing. It makes them feel small, makes them feel weak. Oh, you went through this big thing and I'm going through this, barely making it through this little thing, and I don't know what to do. I guess I'm a waste of space. I guess I don't know what to do. However, if you simply go, yeah, your problem's pretty big, regardless of what it is, because it is big. For them, it's right here. It's the only thing that they can see. It is big to them. Just go, okay, cool. I get it. That's a big thing. And I'm not going to try to one-up you, and I'm not going to tell you everything will be okay. Just tell me more. What's going on? So, what need does your content or community meet? Right? And when they're talking about it, make sure you demonstrate understanding and acknowledge that pain. Last one. I apologize for keeping you a little bit later, but to give me a bit. We're the last class. Promise I'll never do it again. Everyone is emotionally low. Encourage them. If you assume that everyone is having a really bad day, you'll be more patient and compassionate. This is how I live my life. If the person that is at the grocery store is like kind of a jerk and whatever, my thought is, you know what? They woke up on the wrong side of the bed. They didn't get their shower. Their dog died, and someone just stepped on their foot before I walked in. And if I think that way, it allows me to have compassion. Man, I don't want to be one more person to add more troubles to that. I want to be the person that removes some troubles. So I'm going to be extra nice to this person who's being kind of a jerk. Well, why? Because I'm trying to put them into that location where I can find sympathy, right? I get cut off in traffic. My brain, I've told myself, that's a doctor and they're on their way to deliver a baby, and that person is in jeopardy right now, and they had to cut me off in order to get there. It reframes in my brain reasoning. It allows me to go, I have compassion for why that person did what they did and is acting how they act. Could be total fiction. Probably is total fiction. But it allows me to have a compassionate heart. Okay, so that your people there, everybody who comes into your chat, assume they're emotionally low. Assume they're down. Don't assume they're having a great day. Assume that they're having a rough day. If you start there, your heart's going to be compassionate. Your heart's going to be ready to listen. Your heart's going to be, you're not going to jump to some sarcastic comment that you're going to regret later because you were just trying to have fun with them. You didn't realize that when they went, actually, that's a big deal. And oops, sorry about that, right? Start with the compassion and understanding maybe they are having a bad day. And if they correct you, no, actually, I'm having a great day. Yeah, move on. Do your thing. Negative emotions are infectious, so are positive ones. Obviously, that's true. What you carry into your content, right? I remember when I was growing up and I would listen to Melancholy and Infinite Sadness by the Smashing Pumpkins. That was that guy. I was the emo, sad alternative rock kid who just listened to how the world is a vampire and it's here to drain your life away. That was and I fed my negativity. It I used it to push myself further into the bad place. It was infectious. It's the same thing if you listen to worship music or pop music, right? If you listen to things that are meant to kind of get you a bit more excited. Same thing with your stream, same thing with your podcast. If you are, the world is terrible and it's all going to hell in a handbasket and you can't trust anybody, right? That's what your audience is going to go towards. That's what they're going to become. If it's, you know what, God's in charge and boy, we got a good community and I'm so glad we're going through this together. And you know what, the history has proven we can get through these kind of things. They're going to be able to vibe with that. That's what they're going to carry forward into the day. The other day I was playing a game and I was enjoying it for a solid 3 hours. It was great. And then I got tired and I was dying and I didn't want to play anymore. And I was going to get upset. And I'm like, I just had a great stream. I'm going to end early because I do not want anybody moving forward with the day with the last thought that they had on my stream being, I hate this game and I want to quit forever and it sucks. And I don't want that to be the last thing. So it's like, man, we had a really good time today and I'm going to stop so I can come back and we can try this again another day, right? Because let's stop on a high note. Because my attitude is infectious. Right? A pain endurance experiment showed that people could stand barefoot in a bucket of ice water for twice the time if they had someone to encourage them. Right? Your people are going through a lot. A lot. You're going through a lot. You need someone sometimes just to go, you know what? I believe in you, man. I believe in you. You can do it. I'll see you tomorrow. I know it sounds terrible. I know you're in a lot, but I think you're great. I think you're gonna be able to do it. We're gonna do this together, right? That mutual misery society that some people kind of go towards, in that they want to be compassionate by making everybody feel miserable, so we're all equally miserable, is a trap, and it doesn't keep everybody miserable. Some people just need some encouragement, man. Just be that. How can you be that place of encouragement? Maybe it's not you. Maybe you're not an encourager. I have the gift of discouragement. That's just one thing I do. I love doing the reviews so I can find bad things to say about your streams. That's what I like doing. It's fun. So I have other people that are nicer than me do the nice thing. And that's okay. Maybe you're not a super encourager. That's fine. But do you have an environment? Do you have a place? Do you have people that are encouraging? I have a whole entire team on my Discord for people who are nice. To balance me out, I had like 5 other people who are nice. It's really important because a lot of people are going through a lot of stuff, and if you can just give them a little bit, they'll be able to get through another day. Use challenges and goals to find ways to help people win. That's again, I feel like I'm pressured to do this quickly, but I want to get it properly explained, and that is, if you want, if people in your community are having a hard time or emotionally low, one of the things you can do is just kind of have really silly, really fun, consistent ways for people to win. You know, for example, everybody show a picture of the worst ornament on your tree or the coolest ornament on your tree. Just show a picture, and whoever gets it, I'm going to show that picture on stream. Right? Or, it doesn't matter. It doesn't have to be huge, doesn't have to be money, doesn't have to be games. It just has to be opportunities where the individuals and the community can win. Okay, guys, for this, here, there are interactive games, for example, on Twitch, where they can help you. Here's some food, here's some weapon, here's some whatever. Let's do this together. Come on, I need you guys' help. Find ways that you can win. I don't know, again, for musicians and podcasters and all that stuff, other than maybe fundraising or having let's get to an event. We're all going to be meeting and so. I don't know how we're going to do it, but I want to get there. And so we're going to be there. And so let's make that happen. Just find ways that you can make little wins happen, big and little, because then they're part of something bigger than themselves. They contributed to it and they feel great. Yeah. What do? They contributed 1 bit, which is 1 penny, to give you 1 piece of meat in the game that gave you 1 heart. But they did that, and you beat the game, right? Big deal. Big deal to them. even though it might not be the hugest deal to us. And set up consistent ways to celebrate big and small victories. Just find ways to shout people out for being awesome in every way you possibly can all the time. I believe in that so much. How can we make things happen that are fun, make things happen that are unique, make things happen that are special, and then celebrate people within it, right? Our community did this, yes, or this person is so cool. Look what they did on other people's streams, on other people's communities, in the news. It doesn't matter. Find something, but hey, look at that. OpenAI got their CEO back, and now Skynet's going to continue on the way that it was going to go before. Yay, we'll all be terminated soon. Because I love that movie. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Just find things to celebrate as much as you can, because people need it. All right. This is the bonus lesson. If you want to stick around for it afterwards, we will. But what I'm going to do now, we're going to transition into the reviews. So let's open up our reviews, and then we're going to we'll do that first. And if you want to stick around afterwards, I'll do this last one. Okay, so the bonus lesson here. What this is all about is, as you're organizing and as you're starting in whatever your time, on your channel, you're going to have certain ebbs and flows to the content, to the community, to everything that's happening. It'll come, it'll go. Okay, so I want to take you through it because it's an important lesson in the middle. And number one is you have the inception, right? Of your idea. It's super hard work. You guys have been through that before. Everything kind of gets harder, and you go down, and nobody's listening. But then it starts to take off. You get it, like that lonely, chaotic time ends, and you end up going through this nice, exciting, affirming time where you feel like you're getting things done, and you feel like you're moving forward, and the vision is being caught, and people are interested in it. What I want to concentrate on is that number 4, where you reach maturity, where you know what you're doing now. You can do it blindfolded if you wanted to. You know exactly what's happening every week, every stream. You know how to interact with the community. You know how to do it. You're great at it. That's actually a danger point. Okay, that sounds like that's what you're shooting for, but it's actually a danger point in organization, because it's right before where you've saturated your market, you've run out of ideas, people have already heard pretty much everything you have to say on that topic, or the style that you have is no longer new, interesting, encouraging, whatever, and you start to decline, right? You won't notice it at first. You'll plateau first, where you don't grow and you don't really know, you don't change, you could no less, no more. But then when you start that plateau and it starts to decline, it's almost impossible to pull out of a decline. When it, like, literally, it's true across organizations. As soon as it goes and you start losing people, being able to pull out of that is almost miraculous. So when you are in the middle of that rapid rise, what you need to do is you need to be able to start planning for your next inception, your next phase of your development, the next phase of your content. Like, for example, for me, the example I use is I was building my community, and everything was going great. I was an individual streamer, and then I launched Taco. That was one of those. But then I did something that I actually got a lot of pushback for. And that is, I shut down my Discord, and I started a group Discord with the Taco team. Everybody said I was crazy. Why would you do that? Nobody's going to switch over. But I felt that the next logical phase of the development of my community is to be a community of communities, right? And so I took my growing, healthy Discord and shot it behind the barn. And then I asked everyone to move over to another Discord, which nobody wants to do, so that we can do that. So that we did this. We went, nobody's listening, and then nobody's in the Taco Discord, and everything's closed. But then over the last little while here, things are starting to pick up, and the community's better. We have more organization. We have more people involved. We have more volunteers. But it sounds crazy that when my Discord was growing and doing really well and consistently getting people, why I would ever change anything. Truth is, you should. So depending on where you are in your thing right now, how you're feeling. I feel like I'm doing pretty good. Maybe I don't know exactly what I'm doing, but I'm feeling like I got a good rhythm. Start considering what would be the next logical step. It could be a really different thing, not a different personality, not a different vision, but the vision that you have now, maybe accomplishing it in a different way. Start the work. For example, like, do you start a podcast? Do you start a community group? Do you drop a stream or drop um, a release thing so that you can add interactivity somehow, so you can add Q&A, so whatever it is, like, what's the next thing? Now you can be like, oh wow, drop a stream, what, I would never do that, or drop content, or not release the song, or not, do less podcast. That's crazy. But it is, unless you have a plan and you're willing, and that's the next kind of thing that's going to push your energy. Okay, that's really important. Now, during that purposeful change, it's going to be chaotic again, just like it was when you were launching. Your followers are going to feel really unsettled. Dude, I was there on Fridays. You're never there on Fridays anymore. I quit streaming on Friday. I streamed on Fridays for a long time. Then I quit. People are like, that's the only time I watched. And people feel unsettled. They don't know why they're doing it. Why am I moving Discords? I don't want to be in other people's community. Even the taco team was like, man, I don't know about that. Are we really? We're all going to go together? I don't know about that. I want my own Discord. And everybody was unsettled for a while, which means lots of communication is needed. Talk about what you're doing. Think about what you're doing. Explain to your mods, your leaders, explain to your community, explain to the people on Discord, write stuff about it, talk about it on stream, talk about it in your podcast, leave an announcement, do your, make the end of the blog. By the way, in the coming up real soon, we're going to be launching this new thing. I just want to make sure you know about it, and this is going to change. Make sure you're communicating lots through it. Because that way the community, again, we just talked about all that, get them excited and let them understand and give them a hope for the future, all that stuff. Do that. And then that way your community will come with you. Well, most of them will. Some of them will not. The bell curve. You get 10% of people that are just like the worst. And it's just the way it is. Welcome to humanity. But you can keep it going. That's the final lesson. That's the bonus lesson I wanted to leave with you. Because I really believe that you guys have potential to do amazing, great things. And the last thing I want you to do is to peak and decline. I want you to continue to be creative and continue to think about what the next step is. How can I bless my community more? What's the next phase of development for me personally, but also for my community that I'm purposefully moving forward, right? What I want you to be thinking about that. It's really important. Even now, what's the next thing? You don't have to tell anybody. You might be 6 months away. Just start thinking in your brain, well, I think the next thing might be dropping the shorts and starting a blog. I don't know. Maybe it is. So that's it. Thank you for coming to the class. This is the official end of class. Thank you for